It's Halloween time of the year. It's I guess. It's Halloween season, so I thought I'd do some type of scary video here. So I'm gonna be reviewing this book, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Okay, so let's get started. Um, so this is apparently a children's book, right? It's supposed to be intended for children to enjoy some of these, somewhat little creepy stories. They're not too scary, but they're just entertaining stories to tell in the dark, basically. They're somewhat creepy, but not scary, where someone's gonna freaking not be able to sleep at night type of deal. That's not what this is. It's not too scary. Once again, it's for children. Um, so there are some stories that, if you have, depending on your imagination, could be considered a little scary, but not too bad. It's not going to give anybody nightmares. Let's see, because I bought this book maybe about a month ago. I posted a video on YouTube, and I read it in about 3 days, right? I read probably the first 30 pages in one night. I went back to the book and read another 30 pages on night two. And then the last half of the book, or the last third of the book, the last part of the book, I read on night three. Um, that being said, I don't really remember too much of the stories. Take a look here at one of the images. And I like that it has sketches, so you can play around in your imagination. Imagine this coming at you at night. And this one's titled Haunted House. And there's some creepiness to it on this one. I like, that's one of the ones I like. Uh, there's a few that I don't really remember because I didn't really like them. But there's a few that, like I said, depending on your imagination, you can walk away being somewhat frightened, but you'll probably get over it pretty quickly. But it's just, this book, I'd say overall, it's not too scary, but it's entertaining. It's interesting. Like I said, a few I don't remember. And some of them are just overall silly and goofy. But once again, it is intended to be a children's book. Um, this one, The White Satan Evening Gown, if that's the one I remember correctly, it could be, right? I don't know, but there's one that's similar to a story I heard growing up. And that's what this book is. It's a lot of children's folklore, when you were 12, 11, 10 years old, and you gather with friends outside and you tell made up scary stories that you probably heard around the neighborhood that probably could be true to some extent, but are over exaggerated stories. Basically, that's what basically this book is all about. Children's, folklore stories that you shared around the neighborhood, and you know that's what it is, put into a book, basically. Some more of the illustrations here, the sketches, to help give up that scary vibes. Here you see a guy in a coffin or whatever, the sketches. So I guess the question for you all have is it worth purchasing? Well, for $7.99 here in the United States, and it says $9.99 in Canada, I guess for that amount it is worth it. It's entertaining enough. It's a good read, even if it's not scary. It's something different, just something, especially around the Halloween season. If you want something that then relates to Halloween, I guess it's interesting enough to read, right? Would I buy the other two books in the series? Probably not. I don't see myself caring enough to buy the next two books in the series, but I already bought this one not really knowing what it's about, just based on the cover and the title. And I did the research after the fact. But because it's just $7.99 here in the United States, it's not too bad of a price. I wouldn't say it's a ripoff. I would still say it's entertaining enough. Hey, maybe if you take this book, right? If you're an adult, take this book and gather some. If you have kids, gather your kids and their friends and their little cousins and whoever else you have kids there, and read it to them in the dark. Maybe put up a campfire, eat your marshmallows, have them roast marshmallows, and have other snacks there or whatever. Right, kind of in the darkness. Maybe at night around this time, 9, 10 at night, and read some of these and find out at least maybe that you can, if you don't do the whole trick-or-treating stuff, pick it up COVID. Maybe this could be your Halloween. Maybe this is what you could do on Halloween. Take this book and read it around a campfire, gimmicks kind of thing, or inside, have the kids eat some candy that you bought them if you're not taking them out trick-or-treating because of COVID. Maybe read them this book in the dark. Just a little light, a little lamp on, obviously, so you can see what you're reading there. And see, maybe it's scary enough for kids. Depends on their imagination, like I said. So yeah, that's my thoughts on this book. I was gonna read the chapters here and pretty much say what I thought about them, but I don't really remember many of them. Let's see any of them that I remember. The Big Toe I remember. I think the ending of that is somewhat creepy to some extent. The Haunted House I remember. I showed you the sketch of that creepy lady or whatever, and it was creepy, some parts of it. The girl who stood on a grave was creepy until the ending has a logical explanation that kind of ruins it. But other than that, it's still one somewhat creepy. What else do I remember here? The Babysitter. It's a well-known story, and that story is what was the inspiration for many horror movies in the past, including A Stranger Calls and other movies that came out during that time. It's based on that folklore of the babysitter, that the caller, the stranger caller, is inside the house. That those movies were inspired by the babysitter movie story that's inside this book. And this book is not new. I did the research, and I don't remember the exact year, but this book ain't new. It's far from new. It's from like the 60s, I believe, or something like that, if I remember correctly, originally. But they reprinted it and republished it several times since. So maybe the cover is different, and they modernized the look of it. I don't know.